What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Godspeed ZRZ. Now, if you read the title, you know what we're going over, and we have a lot to go over, so we might as well just jump right in. So if you follow the channel, you will have already seen my 7,500 mile review on the Rubicon 392, and I've got to be honest, we went over quite a few things that were wrong, quite a few issues, as well as, you know, some of the good stuff too, but even more stuff is messed up since then. So as you can see, we are right at 9,992 miles, but today I want to give you guys an honest long-term review on the Jeep that if anyone has, they pay too much for. Now, the reason it's so critical for me to make this video today is because today or maybe tomorrow is my absolute last chance to fully critique the Jeep as the way it is. So we are going to be changing quite a few things, and after that point I really won't be able to talk much crap about Jeep anymore. It'll be more on me and what I've done to it. But for now, just to give you guys an idea of the things I have done, it's just simple 35s, straight pop, and then the rest is just supporting modifications. So nothing too crazy, and there are quite a few issues that really need to be addressed. So first things first, let's get the easy stuff out of the way. Price and fuel economy. The price is outrageous. They cost way more than they should, and I honestly don't see how they continue to sell them for the prices they do, but I am one of the suckers that got it. Now, to move on beyond that, fuel economy. Fuel economy is absolutely terrible. As many of you guys know, I've talked about it in previous videos. You shouldn't be concerned about fuel economy at all if you get the Rubicon 392, because you're just not going to be happy. On average, I spend about $100 to fill it up, and that $100 will get you about 250 miles if you drive it respectfully. Now, if you want to really get out and enjoy it, you got low 200s, and that's about it. So every 250 miles at least, you're going to be paying about $100 just to fill this thing up, which is crazy. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and get most of the bad stuff out of the way. So if you guys watched a lot of my earlier videos on the 392, you'll probably remember the exhaust tips that stick out down here, the quad tips. The two adjustable tips were actually extremely crooked whenever I got it from the factory, which it was a simple fix. I didn't really realize it at the time, but you could just unbolt it and readjust those. I'm not sure why they're off from the factory, but many of them are. Another issue many of you will remember from a previous video is the ball joints. Now, not only is it an issue with the Rubicon 392, it's an issue with all of the JL Wranglers in general. The upper and lower ball joints just aren't tightened to spec the way they should be from the factory, and that is something that's really annoying to trace down at first if you don't realize it. I thought maybe the CV axle shaft was messed up. I honestly didn't know. After posting a video about it, someone did comment, and I ended up tightening up the ball joints. It did fix it, but you shouldn't have to do that on a brand new $100,000 ride. Something I can't show you simply because I don't have the doors on was the door edge protector that actually came on the Rubicon 392 from the factory. It's a little seam that goes all the way around the edge of the door just to protect it in case you were to open it up too wide and hit something next to you. It's more of like a PPF material, paint protection film, maybe just a hair thicker, but it had all kinds of bubbles in it. It wasn't on there right, it wasn't on there even, and it honestly just looked like trash. So I had to rip those off as well. Now, the next issue may be nitpicking, but I don't believe that it is. If you guys look behind me here, you'll see this awesome 392, and it looks great. It should be on display. It's really awesome, right? Until you look closer. Whenever you look close, you're gonna see that the paint on the engine cover has just continued to rip off. I'm not exactly sure why, but it does peel, and whenever you try to wipe it off, you'll see that the paint will usually go into the rest of the engine cover, and it just kind of sucks. I mean, it's 10,000 miles on this thing. It really shouldn't have any issues like that, but it does. And I did try to track down exactly where it's hitting. Now, obviously, it has to be right on top of it from this hydro guide system. It could just be just a hair too big, but you can see the mark right there. I guess that's where it hits, but I haven't even brought that up with Chrysler. I haven't really brought up any of the issues with Chrysler yet, just because I wanted to wait and see what would really happen. But I think now would be probably a good time before we go ahead and commence, phase 2 of the build and get a little bit more aggressive to where they can start denying warranty claims and stuff like that. But most of the cosmetic stuff, it really doesn't matter what you do to it. They're gonna cover most of that anyway. But that's definitely something I need to bring up with Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. I just honestly haven't remembered to. Now, talking about things that connect to the motor would be the exhaust. Now, many people know about the infamous Hemi Tick. The Hemi Tick is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's just a ticking noise you get from the Hemis, right? And a lot of people think that it is the lifters and stuff like that. And once you get higher mileage on the car, it definitely could be. But more times than not, almost every single Mopar will have that Hemi Tick, even on the first startup, just directly off the truck once it arrives at the store. And what I believe the issue is just the gasket itself for the catalytic converter. So on this one, what I believe is happening whenever you start it, and I'm sure you could hear it in the intro of the video, whenever you first start it, you'll get that noise. It's almost like air's escaping, right? The only thing I can imagine is just the actual gasket itself, until it heats up and expands a little bit more and fills up where the gasket should be, you will get that ticking noise, and it really drives me crazy. So I guess I'm gonna get a different gasket and throw it on there and see if that helps. I believe that should resolve the issue, but then again, guys, it's a $100,000 vehicle. This isn't something you should buy and have to work on as soon as you get it just to suffice your basic needs, right? And just moving on to one of the more minor issues, it is something that happens with most vehicles, I will say that, but it's just the actual wear on the seat here. I don't know if it'll pick up on camera, but there actually is like a small indentation here. I believe it's from my wallet, but it's really annoying to see that indentation here at 10,000 miles. I mean, I don't weigh much, so I can't imagine what the seat would look like if I weighed twice my weight like half the Americans do today. I mean, it should be built to last, to handle, an average 300-pound person with a wallet. Like, it shouldn't be that hard, but for some reason, the seats just don't typically tend to hold up. Now, I haven't really used the back seats much. I have put a car seat in here a few times, and it didn't really leave any indentions for the car seat in the back, so that kind of just confuses me as to why the driver's seat has to get that indentation, and it really retains the indentation, even if you try to kind of press it out or whatever the case may be. And now, since we're back here, let's talk about the speakers. So this one does have the Alpine sound system in it, and with that you get the 10-inch sub in the back. And to be honest, I thought it sounded great at first, and it did. So what I usually do is I take my bass about 3 notches below the highest it'll go. I take my mid-range maybe 2-3 notches below where it goes, and I keep my treble like 2 notches as high as it'll go, right? And I never really turn this up all the way. The highest I'll turn it is 2 notches below the top. I know it's weird, but that's just where I like to run it at, especially with the doors off and stuff. It's kind of the point where you need it at. But what I have noticed is some slight distortion in the sound already. And I mean, that's happened pretty quick. It's only 10,000 miles and it's pretty noticeable. And it sounds like, the best I can figure, it's coming from these speakers up here. Now, these aren't 6x5s. I believe these are actually 2 or 3 separate speakers here. So I'm gonna have to end up going ahead and replacing those too, just because it's literally the speaker that's right there on top of your head. So whenever it starts to mess up just the slightest amount, it's pretty annoying. But I don't know what speakers to put in there. I'm definitely not gonna get Alpine, I don't think, even though they do have a level above these, but we'll see how that goes. And the final segment on the rant, if anyone from Jeep is listening, is just simply the paint. Now, the paint on the Jeeps should be tough. Obviously, they're made to go off-road. They're made to be the toughest, the most durable, but the paint isn't. I even watched the video, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, the Made in the Day video of the Jeep Rubicons or the Jeep Wranglers in general, and they even talked about the specialty, it's like powdered paint, right? Not powder coated or anything, but like an extra layer to protect it from scratches and stuff. And they almost tried to call it self-healing, but you can't really tell from pictures and stuff. You can't tell from videos either. It does look clean in pictures, but I haven't even cleaned this, just to give you an idea, since I took the doors off maybe 4 months ago. So it's absolutely filthy. Hopefully you can see just how filthy it is, but this color does hide the filth pretty well, and it even hides the scratches pretty well. But still yet, it gets scratches very, very easily. Obviously, once you put bigger tires and stuff like that, the way they're shaped, they are prone to get hit quite a bit more. But I mean, you can just run your finger across it and it feels like it's gonna scratch, and sometimes it does. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. We all know the Jeep tops become noisy, especially after you take them off for the first time. Now on this Rubicon or this Jeep, I haven't even taken the full top off. I've only taken the front freedom panels off, and still yet, this top creaks, it creaks. And thankfully, with the 392, you do get that exhaust note to really cancel out a lot of the road noise that we all have come to know in the Wranglers. Even in the JLs, it's not quiet by any shape, form, or fashion. I thought that for the 392, maybe they'd try to do a little bit more of the sound deadening, at least seal up the top, at least put some sound deadening all the way throughout the top or something like that. But of course they didn't. They give us the motor and they expect that basically to be enough. And they got most of us, they really did. Now at this point you may be saying, why do you even still own this thing? Do you really hate it that much? But I really don't, and let me tell you why. So with the Jeep, especially if you are in the Jeep world or the Jeep community, even the car community, if you love V8s, if you love four-wheel drive, you'll love this. You can't help it. It's just one of the coolest machines you could possibly get from the factory. And with that being said, it pretty much gives Jeep a pass on most of these smaller shortcomings, and I think they know that. They've come to find that out with a lot of the stuff they've produced in the past. Nevertheless, there are quite a few issues, you know, they should address, and I would love to see them address, especially before they try to sell another Jeep for $90,000, $80,000, and let dealers sell them for over $100,000. But whatever the case may be, it is what it is, and those small little things you can get over. It's not much of an issue. I'm sure if you brought most of these issues up to a reputable dealer, they would try to help you figure it out or walk you through, you know, how to fix it. But for the motor itself, it's performed really, really well. Obviously, it's great power. It's broken in great now, and the noise you get is just, it's unbeatable. It really is. It's unbeatable. And for the suspension, everything's settled perfectly. The Fox shocks on this thing are wicked. I love the Fox shocks. I love the way they're tuned for the weight of this vehicle. I'm sure it's some variation of like the 2.5-inch Mopar shocks anyway, or the Mopar Fox shocks that would go with the Eco Diesel. I'm sure they're just tuned maybe a little bit more specifically, or they just have new stickers on them. But regardless, it works really well and it does really well. Now for the all-time all-wheel drive, that's something that I was really having an issue trying to wrap my head around, you know, getting used to. It's not really something I wanted. I wanted to have a little bit more freedom, have a little bit more fun with a rear-wheel drive setup when I want it. But as I've gotten more used to it, I really do enjoy the all-time all-wheel drive. Anytime you want to stomp on it, you have great power and it's always right there. And I think if you didn't have the extra traction from the all-time all-wheel drive, there would be a lot more accidents going on with these machines. If you throw 500 horsepower in a box and you make it rear-wheel drive, sure, I think that probably would be more dangerous. I understand that at this point, but there are tunes out there now too that you can just simply plug in, and it may blow up your transfer case after a little while. I don't know, I haven't tried it yet, but you can do some two-wheel drive burnouts, which are just awesome. And there's a bunch of different supporting modifications that have came out recently for the 392 that really can address most of the issues, or just whatever they may have programmed in that you don't like. One thing I will mention is the 8-speed automatic transmission. Obviously, if any of you guys do have Wranglers, you'll know pretty much how that transmission feels. It feels pretty much the same in this. It is a little bit tougher transmission in this one, but in automatic, it shifts great. It doesn't really ever feel like it's searching for gears or anything like that. But I will say, whenever you're trying to use the cool fancy paddle shifters on the steering wheel, they're literally so slow. It takes at least 2 seconds after you press the paddle shifter for the gear to actually change. I've shown it in my past videos. I can press it, stick my hand up, do everything before it actually shifts, which that sucks, but I'm sure it has something to do with safety, something to do with being more specifically tuned, or the transmission itself more specifically tuned for off-road situations, which makes sense and all, but I do wish the shifts could be faster with the actual paddle shifters. And for the wheels themselves, everything like that, everything's worked really well. Now I completely forgot, whenever I first bought this thing, I immediately had to go out and buy some tires, because they give you 33s on your $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 vehicle, which is crazy. This one is the non-XR. The XR wasn't even an option whenever I ordered this one. But that is something to keep in mind. If you do buy one, almost immediately, I promise you'll go out and buy a new set of tires, if not wheels and tires. Now, in terms of the overall interior quality and how it's held up, everything inside's actually worked pretty well to my surprise. Of course, got the LED lights with this one and everything like that. We've already got some things wired up to the factory auxiliary switches. The screen has performed really well. No weird Mopar malfunctions we've come to expect with a lot of the other Mopar vehicles. This screen's actually performed really well, which it's been in a lot of vehicles for a long time. This is the Uconnect 4C, so it's on that operating system and it does well. For the back, I don't really have anything to say. Haven't sat back here. I don't think anybody's rode back here except for baby. In my honest opinion, guys, until you get up to about the $150,000 price range, I don't think you can get much more for what you get from this. You really have to just get what you get and don't throw a fit, because whenever you get inside, you start it up and you drive down the road, it puts a smile on your face every single time. Not only your face, but everyone that actually hears it go by, they just look in awe, because it just doesn't register that the Jeep would make the noises that this does. And then whenever you stomp on it and you rip by them and suck the doors off, I mean, they're just literally mind blown. They don't really understand what just happened, and I absolutely love doing that every chance I get. So that's just about going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. But stay tuned. We have a lot of stuff coming soon. We've got the new wheels and tires coming in. And once the new wheels and tires come in, like I say, I'm going to really start abusing this thing quite a bit more. We're going to take it riding. We'll take it racing. I'll take it to the drag strip. And then we're going to start adding the power. So once we get the look the way we want, the power will come very, very soon. Hopefully, you guys will see this thing at about 850 before the year's out. And I mean, that would be awesome. It'd just be something different that most people haven't seen, but you'll see it here. As always, guys, until next time, just take it easy.